Welcome to another episode of Intelligent Ignorance with myself and R. Dot Hunter. We are in the building. You can see Jay Watson, Radio Man, R. Dot Hunter. Is it this way? Yeah, Anyway, welcome back to Intelligent Ignorance. We have returned. It took us a while, but last week we came back, so here we are. We're trying to stay
We're gonna
consistent.
do it again. Consistency. What they say on what was the movie? Major League Two.
Oh,
Now we had a streak.
now we had a streak. But like I always like to start every show. I always start every show with, "How you been, brother?"
Man, I can't complain, man. Keeping busy, living, working like a Hebrew slave. Is that politically correct? Can I say that?
Probably not, but
All right. So
whatever.
working like a like working like an African American slave. I'll
That's
say that.
probably not
All right. Never
good
mind.
either.
Just. All right.
We
So
say you're working hard, brother. You're
I'm
working
busy.
hard.
I'm busy. I'm working hard, man. Yeah,
We're gonna get
this
kicked off
week.
the internet.
You gonna
We
kick
get
us
our
off the
numbers
internet.
up though.
Hey, but I've been working hard. I'll be like my man from FSU when they asked him about his players and he said, I wish I wish we could execute the team.
Yo, that was Notre Dame, right? Wasn't that?
Notre Dame, Florida State. It was
Yeah.
yes, it was
He
Notre
wanted to
Dame's
execute
head
coach.
coach.
He
Yeah.
wanted to execute. That's a whole nother story. I don't even understand that one after we get the win, but whatever. I mean,
I
cool.
mean, it was a
You're not
good joke.
happy with what they did, but whatever.
People take things too serious on the internet these days, man.
Absolutely,
But what
absolutely.
about you, man? What's been going on with you?
Man, well, it's a lot of work too between work and baseball and this and all the shows we do. Check
Hey,
swing,
building a brand is never easy.
never easy, but it's always fun. The process is beautiful. Always loving the process, man. So, I appreciate you for all the help that you give and all the wisdom that you bestow upon to me. Like I said that.
Made me feel good. I felt tingly inside.
Okay, well, you keep that tingle to yourself. But we're gonna go ahead and get into it, man. We're gonna get into this show. It is intelligent ignorance. Some of the things that we say are going to be intelligent. Some of the things we say are going to be ignorant. We've already covered those bases right there. And either way, we're looking to entertain. So
Oh yeah.
for the next 30, 40 minutes or whatever the case may be, enjoy yourself. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. We're here to talk about today. We're talking about a little bit of a mental health issue, right? Not an issue,
Yeah.
mental health topic. Okay,
Yeah.
one of the things is it's not a funny thing, right? It's a very serious issue. It's a very serious topic, very serious discussion that a lot of times people are not ready to have the discussion. They don't know how to start the discussion. But in particular, this discussion is going to be about mental health in athletes. Okay, coming off the heels of some of the things that's happened in tennis over the past month and a half, 2 months, we felt the need to talk about it a bit, especially the U.S. Open and all like that going on right now. Um, Dot, you saw some things in the news recently. Had some headlines that struck a chord with you that you wanted to talk about. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick my feet up and give you the floor for a little bit, and then I'm gonna interrupt you at some point just so I can give my 2 cents. But go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah, man. It's been disturbing lately. We saw Naomi Osaka. She just lost in the U.S. Open, and in her presser, she pretty much said that she was going to take a break from the sport. She was feeling exhausted. She, basically just mentally exhausted from everything that's been going on. Uh, she didn't really get into a lot of detail, but then Sloane Stevens kind of detailed some of the struggles that she was going through. And she said that she had received more than 2,000 messages after her loss. And I mean, they were talking about she should kill herself. They were talking about they would kill her. It's like I don't understand these bounds that people go and they don't treat these athletes as humans. And then there was just one recently, and I can't remember her name. I want to say it was Sabrina Rogers. I want to say that was the most recent athlete that came out. And interestingly enough, the two prior are melanated, as if that is the word that I'm trying to use. Uh, but
Trying to
then
be
you
politically
see
correct after
Sabrina
the
Rogers,
first couple of minutes, huh?
who is a white tennis athlete. And she was saying that she wishes social media didn't exist. And after her loss, she said she knows she's going to get 9 million death threats. So it goes into the humanity of people. And I think I want to quote your wife from the 10/7 show where she says, show grace. Like it's hard enough with coming out of a pandemic. People have been isolated for a long time. People don't treat these athletes as entertainers. They treat them like they're caged animals and they poke them with a stick. And these people are giving of themselves for us to see, for us to share in, and we treat them like they're less than human. And for her to say 9 million death threats, and for Sloane Stevens to say she got 2,000 messages that were all verbally abusive and attacking her for losing, like as an athlete, you know, you and I both know we're athletes. It's hard enough to lose as it is. I'm hard on myself when we lose. As a coach, when our team loses, it's hard for us. We already internalize everything, and we take it really hard as coaches and players. And then to see, they showed some of the messages that Sloane Stevens received, and it's like, who are these people? And what can we do as humans to be better people? I know I see you. You ready to hop in and say what's on your mind? Talk to me.
It's a lot, right? Because this the whole when she said I wish social media didn't exist. I mean that's extreme, right? But I feel like people will find a whole nother way to get it across. One of the things, and I know this wasn't what you, I know this wasn't what you were trying to get across, but one of the things that crossed my mind as you were saying, like, 9 million and 2,000, and who's counting all these things? Like that's interesting to me too. Now, like I said, that's not what you were talking about. Um, but your analogy of them, excuse me, of the public treating these athletes like caged animals. I think that was spot on, man. I think that was spot on because it's like they keep poking the bear, right? It's like when I was a kid, I was a fan of wrestling, right?
Right,
And people would, you remember like when the wrestlers would go from the curtain to the ring, and they
right.
would go through the aisle, and people were like yelling
The
stuff
ring
at the
walk.
bad guy, the ring walk, and they was yelling stuff at the bad guy, and it was just like talking all this smack, but you knew they couldn't do anything to you, and you
Right,
knew they weren't going to do anything to you, but you still wanted to poke that bear anyway to try to get that reaction out of them. And I feel like a lot of people are sitting around getting their Twitter fingers together, trying to get a rise out of the athlete just to say, "Oh, they responded to me," right?
right,
Like you're going to say these things, these death threats and all like that, and to get a response. That's really what they're doing because the death threats and I'm going to be careful saying this. The death threats are always just kind of they're just out there. They never really come to fruition. Now, it's
right,
not to say that somebody hasn't tried. We saw Monica Seles back in the day get stabbed in her back
right,
at the French Open, I believe it was. So those things can happen, but we also know that person had, I believe, a mental health issue, or it was like a stalker or obsessed with Monica Seles or whatever the case may be.
right,
Neither here nor there though. But why? I mean, you talk about LeBron James gets. People talk about LeBron like that. People talk about WNBA players. They talk about tennis players. They talk about gymnasts. Simone Biles had her issue. Ben Simmons is one right now. Some people are saying, with all the things coming down about him, what about his mental health? Right? If
right,
he's having a mental health issue, he's hiding it very well, but that's what people do that don't want to appear. I don't know, appear in any type of way other than the way that you normally see them. So, like, I personally don't get it. I can't give somebody. I'm not gonna poke the bear. Like, I can remember one time I tweeted an athlete, had to be 10 years ago, maybe even more, right? It was Arian Foster. And I want to say it was
Houston
right after
Texans.
Houston Texans. I want to say it was right after he got hurt. And he said something about how people were responding to him. That, like he was getting some bad comments.
About fantasy football.
I don't know. This wasn't that. This wasn't that one.
Okay.
He got hurt in real life, and like people. I mean, the people might have been mad because of their fantasy football team, but whatever. My response to him was, these people don't really care about you. Like they only care about what you can do for them. And of course, he didn't respond, but
Right.
that was the gist of my tweet. Like you talking to these people like they actually give a damn about you. They don't. They only give a damn about what you do on the football field. They could care less about you as a person. So these people threatening Sloane Stevens and she lost a tennis match. That's her profession. Now, did you
Right.
lose money on the match? That's your fault. You don't have to bet. I mean, that can be the only reason I understand. I'm not condoning, but you being that mad at somebody losing something in their profession that it affects your pockets. Other than that, man, y'all need to keep your mouth shut, man. Leave these people alone. You cheer them on, love them, and leave them alone. That's what I say.
I think it's just amazing to see, the the three high profile tennis players in Shelby Rogers, Naomi Osaka, Sloane Stevens to talk about, the issues that they're enduring, especially with social media harassment and bullying, uh, on the heels of, US Open losses. And we know that obviously this occurs across all sports. We see it in football, we see it in basketball, we see it in tennis. I mean, even in golf, I think they said that they were going to kick out, you know, fans who were calling Bryson DeChambeau Brooksy or something like that. Like, the we see how people are pushing the boundary of what they can do to professional athletes. Just kind of like when Russell Westbrook had his issue with the fan that was courtside. And he said, basically they're allowed to do and say whatever they want to us with no repercussion. And it's interesting because I think you watched it, or at least I suggested that you watch it, the Malice in the Palace
I saw it.
uh, documentary on Netflix. And it gave a little bit of an interesting perspective about what those players and personnel were thinking when all of this was going on, how it impacted them and how it impacted their careers. So it's it's one of those points where at some point we kind of have to figure out how to protect these people better. But I also feel like when you're on these public platforms, you're open to what comes. So social media is very different from being in a stadium and being at a facility. Like, they said, hey, we're going to kick those fans out that called Bryson DeChambeau Brooksy, and
And that to me, that's dumb.
we're
That's
going
dumb.
to ban fans who are throwing things, and we're going to ban fans who are throwing things, and we're going to, basically restrict access to individuals, which I get, I respect. I don't think, well, and the golf thing is a very different perspective because remember, golf is supposed to be kind of a quiet
Well,
environment. It's a
well, here's the
gentleman's
thing.
environment.
Let's talk about the golf thing real quick. I don't want to lag on it too long. The golf thing. Here's the thing. If it's a regular tournament, yeah, you're supposed to be quiet. Now, if you're interrupting the quiet part of it,
Right,
okay, you need to get kicked out no matter what you're saying.
right,
If it's while people are cheering or whatever the case may be, and you say that, then I think the athlete just has to compartmentalize that. Okay, because in the Davis Cup, it's not quiet. They're
right.
cheering the entire time.
Is that the Davis or the Ryder, or is it? Or
And
there?
I think it's the Ryder Cup. The Davis Cup,
Okay.
I think, is tennis, I believe. But
Yes,
The Ryder Cup is
it's an emotional. It's a rah rah cheer on type of event.
it's U.S. versus Europe, and it's
Yeah,
it's about pride and country, and you're always and the whole thing. But that's the thing. Like it's either going to be quiet so they can concentrate, or that it's going to be consistently loud and they can still concentrate. But if you're interrupting by saying anything, then get kicked out. If you're calling somebody out of their name and it's not vulgar, come on, man. Come on.
I definitely kind of agree with you on that one. You know what? And I want to loop back to something because I completely kind of skipped it in my opening monologue, and it kind of ties into the mental health thing. I've been on my acting journey a bit, and we just lost an amazing actor,
Oh,
Michael K. Williams,
gotcha.
um, who portrayed, most famously portrayed Omar Little on HBO's The Wire. Hands down, one of my favorite actors from that series. Uh, it's sad, the circumstance. Obviously, you saw some speculation about drugs being involved. We really don't know the details of what surrounded it, but we do know that we lost an amazing actor.
Amazing
Uh,
actor. Amazing actor.
man, so in memory of him, what was your favorite uh, Omar Little instance on The Wire?
So my favorite one. Before I say my favorite one, I'll tell you this. I always loved the way Omar was able to get out of a tight situation. No matter what was going, he was always able to get out of the tight situation. I thought that was dope. But my favorite Omar instance was man gotta have a code. That was
I,
my favorite. Man gotta have a code.
I saw that one a lot on social media right after all the information came out about his passing. That was one that I saw a lot. Um, my favorite one, and I know it's kind of a strange one, but it was personal for me because it's one of the very few cereals I eat. But he leaves the trap house in his purple silk pajamas, and he goes to the corner store, and he goes to get cereal. And the only thing that they have is regular Cheerios. And he says, "Y'all ain't got honey nut." And my man behind the glass just shakes the box of Cheerios like that's all we got. Honey Nut Cheerios is one of the only cereals that I eat. So that episode always stood out to me. That was one of my favorite Omar Little instances. It always stood out to me.
Yeah, rest in peace to Michael K. Williams, man. Was really shocked to see that posting, and I just man, another one going too soon, right? And
Gone too
I
soon.
don't know how old he is, but another one going too soon.
Early 50s, man. I don't want to
Going
I
too
don't
soon.
want to say it wrong, but I know it was early 50s. I want to say it was 54. I didn't even get to do the research on it like I should have, like I usually do. Um,
But
but
you've
it
been
was one
busy
of
this
those
week.
things. It was one of those things, where it was tough. It was tough to see it because he was a huge inspiration. I have a video from him, uh, and I may end up sharing it on my IG at some point this weekend once I find it. But it was a kind of like a monologue where he was talking to himself and he was talking to the different characters that he's portrayed. He was sitting in his living room, but he was talking to his different characters.
I think I
I know
saw
you
that.
remember it,
I think I
but it
did
was
see
it
that.
was absolutely amazing, and it just goes into the depths of what kind of actor he was.
Hmm.
So I think I may pull it and dig that one out of the crates, throw that one on my social media.
Yeah, find that, man. I like to see that again. I would definitely like to see that again. But
But we're gonna hop on to something else that I've been seeing a lot lately, to get a little lighter fare going on.
okay.
And I don't know if you've seen much of it, but I've seen a lot of it, especially like online on Instagram. Uh, a lot with the, I won't say emergence, but the reemergence of crystals and their healing, perceived healing powers, and some of the properties that these crystals have. Um, I've been seeing a lot of it online. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about it, a lot of people selling them. Um, some people have equated it to like witchcraft, witchery. Some people have equated them to religious symbols. Um, you know, obviously, and I think in some of the research that I had went back and forth with, just looking at kind of the symbolism of crystals, and I call them rocks, and I know people absolutely hate them being called rocks. I know I'm not the most knowledgeable on it. I know you're not the most knowledgeable on it. So I called up a friend and I said, "Hey, I want you to come on and we want to talk a little bit about these rocks." And she got a little upset with me when I called them rocks. Um, but because where we from, rocks is a whole different thing. When you're talking about rocks, you're talking about
Rocks.
something a little different.
It's a whole different.
You're just talking about rocks. Got rocks? Who got rocks?
I'm not. Yeah,
Um,
I'm not gonna scratch my neck, but you know.
but it gets a little, it's a very different topic. So my homegirl, Sammy S, Sam State Farm 420 on Instagram. I said, hey, I want you to come on and talk to us a little bit. Uh, I want to get her on here. Sam, and she also has a podcast, Sam Straight No Chaser. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. She'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to introduce Sammy S into the conversation. Sammy, how you doing today? Sounds like she might be having a little technical difficulty with that internet over there.
I think
Don't
she's
do
back.
me.
She's back. There you
There
go.
you go.
Don't do
You
me. It
there?
was you because I was here the whole time. Don't.
Well, I mean, two people couldn't hear you, so I mean, I'm just
But I
saying.
was here. I heard myself.
The fan wasn't moving. So just like right now, your fan's not moving. So we know
No.
that when the fan is circulating, like you're frozen right now, we can hear you, but we can't see. But
Oh,
but
so that's
how
really
you been?
funny. So I'm good. I'm good. That is funny. We're gonna have this battle about this internet because yours was doing the same thing earlier. But yeah, and don't be calling my crystals rocks. We're gonna start there. Don't do that.
I I apologize. I completely apologize. But so tell us a little bit about some of the crystals you have and how you got into crystals.
Okay. I probably have a collection that's like over 60 plus different crystals, from towers to stones that look like marbles to cubes, hearts, you name it, I have it. I have a unicorn horn. It's a selenite tower also. But how I got into that was basically as a kid, I grew up with a brother who was really into science. And he literally had a rock collection. So like stones that you put outside for your lawn care projects and stuff, or like you're out on a walk, he would pick those things up, but then he would demolish them because he would be looking for stuff on the inside. These have geodes and these have. I'm like, I don't. What are you talking about? But at one point, he showed me something and it was shiny and it was interesting and it didn't look like flat like anything else I'd ever seen, like in the creek or anything. So that kind of piqued my interest, but I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was shiny. It was cool. He had it. Crystals have actually been a part of my life all of my life because my grandmother actually used to wear an amethyst and a rose quartz when I was younger. I didn't know what that was. I just thought it was a necklace, just a little pendant that I wore. But as I got older, she told me that it was an amethyst, and then she told me that this pink one was a rose quartz. So then that was a little bit more information on my crystal journey per se. But I didn't really start getting into it until probably about 2 years ago, when I started transitioning out of my religious background into figuring out what spirituality could do for me. And then the collection just grew from there. So, like I said, I have all kinds of things, all kinds.
So with some of these stones, and I don't want to call them rocks, with some of these crystals, uh, I was reading a little bit about some of like the different properties of rose quartz and uh, selenite. Like, so tell me what do some of these do for you, or what are the properties of them?
Okay, so for me, they are in spirituality, just like in religion. You have your Bible, you have your altar, you have your cross. This is all these things of representation of religion. So for spirituality, we come from all four pillars of the earth. So air, water, earth, fire, like all of that is a representation. So how would you represent earth? We use crystals in that form. Crystals are from the earth. God put them there. That's what we use. But how do they work? First of all, you have to know that God is within you, and you are like what we're learning in our religious background. How I learned it was like, you got this little light inside of you, and you need to let people shine, right? Like let it shine, the light inside. So the light
Right.
inside is actually God. And if you know that you're God and God is within you, then who can be against you, right? Who can be against you? So the power of the crystals, like once you charge them, and you can charge them in water, like cleansing them, you put them out under the moonlight, you can put them out under the sunlight. Once they're charged by the earth, you carry them with you, like I have right here. And there's a little quartz and this copper wrapped. If you know anything about energies, copper transmutes, it's an energy, it's a conductor of energy. So the crystals hold the power essentially. That is a God given power, the moon, the earth, the sun, all of these things connect. So crystals that I carry with me, what they are, I have a clear quartz. I always carry those around because that transmutes positive energy. That brings in the positive energy you want within you. So I carry black obsidian because that blocks out negative energy. Rose quartz because of love, not only love from others, me projecting love, but also to receive love. Amethyst is a healer. It's like a self healer. I can't remember. There's so many, but like I carry a pyrite, which is like a protection stone. All of these things, basically, if you read up on them and what you are looking for, like I carry a carnelian of strength and like a tiger's apple, an earth sign, it is like you can see different layers in a tiger's eye. So it represents the earth and all of its layers. Um, that's how it works for me. I literally, like I said, I have a bag, I have towers, but I have towers in different places around my home because they're at my door. So they also like no negative energy can cross this way. I have some outside of my door because that blocks that negative. And you can recharge them again if you want to, but there are some that you also just have to learn that they all can be charged by the sun or the moon, but you cannot put all of them in water because they will turn into other, like water and their elements, because they're made of different things of the periodic table. It will change it, and it can become and create something different. So you just have to learn what you can put in water and what you can't. But
So
there are a
when you
lot of
when
different
you
uses,
talk
and a
about
lot of
you,
people use them for different reasons.
you talk about charging them,
Go
right? So I
ahead.
see you have. It looks like you have
Mhm.
some on your wrist right now. Is that correct? Am I correct in
Oh, yeah.
saying that?
Yeah, I do. I forgot about those.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me ask you, because you're talking to somebody that I really, I've heard about crystals and the power, but I'm far from educated on it. You charge these crystals that's on your
Mhm.
wrist. You put them on your wrist
Mhm. Mhm.
for what reason? Like what are you expecting from the crystals?
I don't expect anything from the crystals because the crystal itself means nothing. This absolutely means nothing without the power behind it. And the power is me. The power is my God behind it. Like what I choose. This is aventurine, rose quartz, and amethyst. So this is protection, love. Um, this is lapis lazuli. and this is a throat chakra. Like it means for your throat chakra to be honest, that you communicate well with others. Like I don't have a problem with communicating. I
At
at
all.
all with others, but it just makes sure that I keep. I guess it's a physical reminder is what you're looking for.
Okay.
Because people in Scientology would wear a red bracelet or they would wear, it's something that's always going to bring you back to self and always remember that there is a higher being. It's always a higher power out there. Because a lot of
So
people think that people who are spiritual don't believe in God. I believe in God and I believe that He is the center of any and everything that I do. So, and I believe like without Him, how could I have the tools that I feel are necessary for my journey in life?
so let me ask you this, because like I'm gonna reiterate, uneducated
Hmm.
in this topic. Um, you were talking about
Hmm.
you have like I think you said towers, certain places in your house and things like that. All those in the jewelry, those are just reminders for you to I don't know, conduct yourself a certain way, or reminders of a reminder. What do they remind you? Because you're talking about the energy, and
So
stuff like that. So what are the reminders of?
exactly that. Like once you start learning what they are and what they mean, what they do, what energies they transmute, they you get into chakras, which is um, definitely more Eastern culture, Indian culture. So, and that is like your crown to your root chakra. So that is um, it covers everything. Every part of your body is covered in a chakra, and each crystal are going that rainbow pattern as well. And they are like for your heart, this for your throat, it's for your crown, your third eye, for your root chakra. Like your sacral chakra is like a lot of people call it your sex chakra, but it's like where a lot of women hold a lot of trauma is in their hips. So they tell you to like, I wear waist beads also. So my waist beads have carnelian, they have tiger's eye, and I forget some green aventurine on it, I think. But all of those things are to help open your sacral chakra. If you learn about African traditional religion, that's where waist beads come from. And when you learn about the different colors that they thread on these waist beads, some cultures in Africa use them as a scale for their bodies, whether like to gain weight or to know when a child, instead of going by her menses, they go by her size of her waist, how big she is, whether she's ready to birth child, and all of these type of things. They do that. But if you go back all the way to African tradition religion, crystals are there. They're in the Bible that most religions read. They're there. It's just like I said, like a reminder to say like, be positive. Make sure you give love to others the same way you want to receive love. The golden rule ultimately applies in spirituality too. So like if you're gonna use your root chakra, make sure you're telling the truth. Make sure when you're loud and boisterous with your throat and what you have to say, make sure it's honest. Okay, so um, that's what I use them for. That's how I take my crystals on my journey. Um, and they do for me on another topic in time, like they do cast out things in my element. Like my son was having an issue with an entity. We believe that all of my grandparents are with us, like they've moved here with us all the time. There was bothering. It wasn't like I asked my son, like, or he saw me put it there to say he knows what's going on, so he's gonna play along with this at all. But I put it there, and a couple of days later, I took it out. He was then having nightmares and telling me he didn't want to sleep in his room. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to do that. My mother is a praying woman. She prayed. She put her holy oil. She did her thing. He still said the same thing. I put that crystal back in his room because it's what I believe. I don't knock my mother because I am also a praying woman, also. But I put that crystal back in his room, and he slept ever since then. That crystal is in his room now. We've moved into a whole different place, and it's still in his room in a whole different place, and I haven't heard anything else about that. So that's what I believe. So for me, it works. But like I said, at the center of it all, I still believe that there's a God. The same God you believe in, I still believe he's there. Like, so it's not really too much of a change. It's just a different way of doing it.
So I want to give the people a little info on how they can find you, because obviously we have your Instagram name up there, Sam State Farm 420 on IG, and tell them a little bit about the
Yeah.
podcast, Sam Straight No Chaser, because I know you said you're honest and you have no problem communicating.
Okay.
So tell them a little bit about the podcast and what they're going to find on there.
Okay. So first, it is definitely a 18 and plus because I talk about real life things. I am over the age of 30, so I almost have a teenage son. So there are a lot of things that I discuss about life, my lock journey, my spiritual journey, my relationship roller coaster, but how my relationship roller coaster put me on my spiritual path, um, and like opened my eyes to something totally different. I think I found myself more in these past 3 years than I've ever thought I could ever find myself, and then to love myself with that. My podcast is literally a verbal journal. It is all over the place because I also suffer from ADHD. When I say all over the place, it is organized chaos. It is not like I am dead set on one topic and we're like all over the place. It is organized chaos, but it talks about my lock journey, my son, my this, my that. More recently, because I'm not into my second season yet, I just been putting in surprise episodes. So more recently, it's been talking about dating adventures, like what has been happening in Sam's life and the past date she's been on with people in 2021. So it's all over the place. But I feel like sometimes people aren't real and they sugarcoat things because that's what society wants them to do. I talk about things from sexual relationships all the way to literally sitting here talking to my son about my spiritual journey, and then him having a sex talk, like, to going out for girls night. Like, I talk about it all. I talk about some hot topics even, so it caters to everybody, but the longest episode is maybe 30 minutes, so they're short, to the point, and they get the job done.
Well, I want everybody to make sure that they check out Sam Straight and No Chaser. The podcast is
Yes.
currently on the Anchor platform, and I know you said you're not through with that season one yet. You're approaching season two, and I wanted to give some great news to the people, because those people who will be looking for
Mhm.
you on season two, Sam Straight No Chaser will be joining the New Twist Radio fam starting with season two. We also are going to try to
Yo.
push over some of that content from season one. So, welcome to the family. We're truly happy to have
Yeah.
you. We can't wait for season two to
Thank
debut on
you.
newtwistradio.com. And we can't wait to get it out there. So, I truly
Thank
appreciate
you.
you for joining us today and talking about crystals, telling us about the podcast, and we cannot wait to hear more of it on newtwistradio.com.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you, Sam, for being with us. We appreciate you. If
No
you
problem.
can just make sure you
Let's do
check
this
out.
again.
Absolutely, we definitely gonna
Definitely.
do it again.
You
We
part of the
Yeah.
definitely gonna do
family
it.
now.
That's Sam Straight No Chaser,
Yes.
Sam State Farm
Yes.
420 on the gram. So y'all definitely check her out.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Sam.
Thank you.
We'll, and
Thanks.
we'll be talking to you. All right. That was Sam Straight No Chaser. Now, I think it's time for that part of the show. You know, we haven't done this part of the show in a minute.
In a while.
It's been a while. It's been at least since what? Last year.
2020. 2020.
So
We haven't had a dummy in a while.
For people that don't know what part of the show that is, it goes a little something like this.
Big dummy, big dummy, big dummy, big dummy, big dummy, big dummy, big dummy.
It's the big dummy of the day. So I had a big dummy, and upon further review, it was like maybe I shouldn't, because this person may not be considered a legal adult yet. So I'm not going to talk about this person. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be a bully, right?
We won't call him the big dummy.
But I still have some big dummies. And it's going to go back to the earlier part of the show. These people out here that's sending death threats to these athletes,
Right.
most recently tennis players. Y'all some dummies, man. Y'all stupid. Like, come on, man. Y'all really tennis? Sports? Come on, man. Death threats? Not somebody that's like not like Martin Luther King. You know what I mean? Not like the president of the United States. Y'all talking about athletes here. Come on, man. Y'all stupid. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Y'all stupid.
They big dummies.
Y'all stupid. Dot, what you got, man?
Man, I definitely gotta say that this is our biggest dummy or dummies of 2021 so far. And I gotta lump it all into the entire state of Texas government on 2 counts. And I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I get passionate about these topics. They basically just made guns accessible to any and everyone. Obviously of a certain age. There's no restrictions to be able to purchase, to be able to carry. It could potentially be a free-for-all. I'm hoping it doesn't get to that, but that's one of the laws that was just passed. And the other one, which, obviously a group of people have no business deciding, but the abortion law, stating that anyone who is involved with the abortion of a fetus beyond 6 weeks is subject to prosecution by law. It's ridiculous. One, and you hear it all the time. You can't have a group of men governing what women can do with their bodies. 6 weeks, a lot of people don't even know that they're pregnant at 6 weeks. So the law basically states that anybody who's involved with the abortion, if your boyfriend decides to pay for the abortion at 7 weeks, he's now an accomplice to committing a crime. If a Uber driver or a Lyft driver drives you to the facility, and they are now an accomplice in crime. And I truly applaud Uber and Lyft for speaking out against this, saying that they will pay the legal fees associated with any pending prosecution of any of their drivers and their potential involvement, because it's truly something that is immoral. I don't know how to say it any other way. It was brought up in debate that if an individual rapes a woman in Texas, and let's say she doesn't find out she's pregnant until the 8th week, she can now be held liable for aborting a child through a malicious attack like a rape. It doesn't make any sense. And I truly don't understand what the state of Texas was trying to achieve in passing these laws, but I do know that they look extremely stupid, and they are my big dummies.
But there you have it. There you have it. I forgot who my big dummy was. Oh, the people that was threatening the tennis players, and then the Texas government.
Texas government. It's sad.
It's
It's sad.
so I think so. Here's some like, real quick story. Then we getting at it. One day I was like right by an abortion clinic and had no idea it was an abortion clinic. So if I was like an Uber driver and I got the address to where you're going, and I take you to this place and it turns out to be a place where they have it where they perform the abortions. You're telling me I can be liable for that in the state of Texas?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like the only reason I found out that this place was an abortion clinic was because there was like people protesting the joint. So I'm like if I didn't see that, I would never know. Like it's not like they have a big sign outside that says abortion clinic.
Right.
I mean, in my experience, what I've seen. I've never seen it, so it is what it is. But there you have it.
It's
man.
amazing.
It's America. It's what it is. We're gonna get up out of here, man. We appreciate y'all hanging with us for this episode, this installment of Intelligent Ignorance. Ignorance.
Ignorance.
Thank you to Sam Straight No Chaser for checking us out and being with us, and check her out at Sam State Farm 420 on the gram. I'm gonna go follow her right now from my account and New Twist Radio account. So y'all go ahead and join me in doing that. All right. For R. Hunter and myself, we appreciate y'all for being with us. We are going to take a couple steps to the rear and we're going to get up out of here. Appreciate y'all so very much. And
we out.
That's all I got to say about that. Talk to y'all next time. Peace.